The Politics podcast is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/JURY. It's where you can support this show. What am I going to say? Hey, March, we're going to do a jury in your house tour. It's going to be 3 dates. It's going to be over the weekend. One of them is going to be this show. The other one's going to be the jury show. The other one's going to be a meetup. If you would like to be a part of it, well, then hell, come on in. Be a patron. And support this very show. You not only get the politics show, you get my one mic show, jury. Man, it's just a fun time. So why don't you head on over right now, patreon.com/JURY, and buy stickers or DIAF. You can buy stickers, including our holiday bundle, which is going to be changed literally today. It's what I'm going to do right after this show. Is go over there, buy all the stickers you possibly can. Stickers or DIAF. Woo! We'll never talk about how we do the show, huh? Huh? What do you say we just shut up and do the damn thing?
Politics, 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 politics.
Oh, hi, friends. Hi, friends. Are you ready? Are you ready? For Politics. My name is Justin Robert Young. I'm going to be your humble host, taking you through the week that is... a little phlegm there. Holy moly. The week that will be, and the changing of the guard. This is when power literally changes hands. The Trump train, for which has stormed through, I guess the Trump train will have brakes, and they will be applied in Washington, D.C. this weekend when Donald J. Trump is inaugurated as our 45th president of the United States. Hashtag MAGA, 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 MAGA. And departing will be our 44th president, Barack H. Obama. And we have a lot of news on both. Number one, we've got everything that is surrounding this inauguration. It seems like it will certainly be a wild event. It's so funny because simultaneously, and again, I live in the liberal enclave of Oakland, California. All I hear is people talking about how amazing it is that nobody's going to this inauguration, while simultaneously having everybody I know talk about how they are going to the inauguration to protest it. So everyone's showing up to the party. Who knows? We're going to see what the population is. I don't think that that's really as big of a story as everybody wants to make it. I think it's still a partisan issue. I do think that right now, if you look at by the numbers, we have not had a very effective healing process. Normally, this is how it goes, right? Election night, whoever wins, they usually say, as a fairly stock line, tonight we begin the healing process. So that is when we stop picking at our wound and eventually, as a nation, begin to salve it by way of bipartisan, cross-aisle discussion. That obviously maybe could have gone better on all sides. And now we come to the inauguration, which theoretically should be when the scab is lifted and we reveal, although new flesh, a combined healing fabric of the American Republic. I don't know if we're really going to get that. And I use the term healing flesh deliberately because let's go to one of our first stories that we want to talk about today. This comes out last night. Here we go. California man sets himself on fire to protest Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. Let's go ahead and take a look here at this story. Firefighters raced to the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. Tuesday night after a man set himself on fire there. The man suffered burns, but his condition and identity are unknown. The incident comes on the eve of the contentious inauguration, already dividing Washington and the nation. He said he was from California, and his actions were an act of protest. So there's that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly how much, this stuff you have to take with a grain of salt. I mean, obviously people are hot, man. Unfortunate. Okay, that was an unfortunate. Passions are inflamed. All right. Jeez. I mean, you can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. This gun's for hire. That's why we're dancing in the dark. Oh, jeez. Man. I mean, this inauguration's gonna be lit. Here's for the millennials. Okay, enough. We have a hell of a show here for you guys. We are going to be talking more about the inauguration. We are going to be talking more about Obama's final days in office. We are going to be talking about, of course, our favorite story here on Politics, and that is the insane presidential scandal unfolding in Korea. And we have a very special pole dance as well as your emails. But let's start with the inauguration. And I don't even want to focus on the inauguration because it is going to be what it is. And to be fair, if it weren't for the fact that we were still inflamed about this election, I really don't. I'm honestly right now not trying to do it. I just don't realize how much of my rhetorical quiver is filled with flaming arrows. If we weren't still all fired up about this, I swear to God, I tried to think of another. If we weren't all upset about this election still, because obviously we are, and we're going to go through other numbers that support this, then we wouldn't care about the inauguration because we never care about the inauguration. Nobody ever cares about, I mean, like, Obama was a special case because he was the first black president, and the vast majority of black people live on the eastern seaboard. Washington, D.C., it ain't named Chocolate City because they like sweets. It's very, very easy for a large amount of American black people to come to celebrate the first black president. He was also transcendently popular. Obama was with millennials, liberal youngsters, for whom it's easier to hop on a bus, hop on a train. I mean, half of them ain't got jobs, and the other half don't have kids. So it's easier to just make their way out. Of course, being the first black president and a young person, relatively speaking, of course, you had a lot of entertainment folks that wanted to show out, to be part of it. You know, you had mixtapes. My President is Black was a very popular song at the time celebrating this event. So take Obama's out, right? Take Obama's inauguration out. Who else has ever remembered anybody who's played any inauguration? Right? Like, who else even remembers? Like, right now. Like, did Fleetwood Mac play Clinton's, or was that election night? I sure as hell don't know who played George W. Bush. Like, I can't remember anything beyond that. You know, Berzalog says, I didn't give an F about Obama's inauguration. I voted for him. I'm just saying, I don't think this is a political statement. We normally don't give a rat's ass about inaugurations. Inaugurations are literally just a placeholder. It's effectively the most circle jerky version of punching a clock. It should literally just be like whenever we have to do our first day on the job, and we should spend a half day filling out HR paperwork. I mean, specifically with Trump. I mean, how about this one? When he's got his hand up in the air, how about we say, watch it with the hot mics, huh? If you're going to be bragging about grabbing ladies in the pussy, how about we solemnly swear, we look over at the sound guy. Are the mics off? Are the mics off? Unplug the mic pack before you start talking jive. How about that one while your hand's in the air, DJ? I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I think Trump wants to make it a big deal because he is a man of the entertainment community. He is somebody that has both been an entertainer, in many ways still is an entertainer, and has booked entertainment almost his entire life. This is something that is just a part of his life. So he has consistently throughout this entire process, be it the convention or the inauguration, he has wanted to make this like a bigger deal, right? Now, whether or not he will, who knows? I personally don't find it particularly constructive to talk about the booking of the inauguration, largely because, again, I don't remember who was booked at all the other ones. So I just don't know. I don't have a basis to be like, LOL, the B Street Band pulled out. For those of you who aren't following, the B Street Band is the cover band, a cover band for Bruce Springsteen and his E Street Band that were initially booked and then pulled out. I think Kid Rock's playing. I hope he plays American Badass. And I hope biker version of Undertaker comes out. In fact, at the end, after Donald Trump has sworn himself or has been sworn in as the 45th president of the United States, I want Biker Taker to come out. I want Donald Trump to get on the back of Biker Taker's motorcycle, and then they both do the arm up as they ride off into the White House on Biker Taker's hog. And Kid Rock is live. I am an American badass. Anyway. So, I don't really have a lot to say about the party. I do have a lot a lot to say about the fact that we continue to talk about this Russian dossier. I have a lot to say about the fact that one of the greatest quotes in international relations history was uttered by the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, yesterday or the day before. Can't remember, based on the time zones. But responding to all this controversy about Donald Trump and this intelligence dossier, unverified though it may be, that Donald Trump was recorded by the Russian intelligence ordering a golden shower urination party in the presidential suite so he might defile the bed that Barack Obama and his wife slept in. Wait, really? Is Audioslave playing the inauguration? Is Audioslave really playing the inauguration? Somebody find me a thing on this. This just popped up in the chat. Strike It Rich once his Audioslave is reuniting to at the inauguration. If that is the case, that is literally just to piss off Zach De La Roca, right? That's literally just to piss off. That is like an F you to Zach De La Roca for not doing a Rage Against the Machine reunion show, right? Oh, they're doing the anti-inauguration ball. I would love it if they played the official one, though. I would love it if they played the official one. And it was just like, no, you want to know what? Up yours, Zach. We should have done a Rage Against the Machine reunion show like 5 years ago. We could have headlined every music festival for the last 5 years if you just get off your ass and perform live for once in your goddamn life. Sing Bulls on Parade so we can all walk off with $3 million, can we? No, they're doing the anti-inauguration ball. All right, fine. That's fine. That's more on brand for them, sure. I would love it if they got petty about the fact that they still can't reunite Rage Against the Machine. Greatest quote in the history of international relations. Here we go. Are you ready? How many of y'all heard this? Diamond chat, Twitch chat. How many of y'all know what I'm going to say right now? JC Calhoun says they have done Rage reunion shows since Audio Slave. No. I mean the big festival circuit. Like, do you think Rage Against the Machine could headline Coachella this year? Because I do. I think Rage Against the Machine could headline Coachella this year. All right. Some people do, some people don't. Vladimir Putin comes out. He says, I don't think that this is true. To my knowledge, we do not have any information or video of the sort that has been reported. We have nothing involving Donald Trump and Russian hookers. However, there is no doubt that our hookers are the best in the world. This is something that he said. This is something that Vladimir Putin said. Let me see if I can get this exact quote. That was off the top of the dome. Let me see if I can get this exact this exact quote right here. Oh my God, covered on TMZ. Let's go ahead and take a look here. This is Vladimir Putin. This is the exact quote. The Cold War is heating up. Vladimir Putin scoffed at the discredited dossier suggesting Donald Trump engaged in funny business in Russia, but it didn't stop him from bragging about the country's prostitutes. Putin held a news conference in the Kremlin, throwing shade at the ex-British intelligence officer. In his so-called report, Putin said Trump's been surrounded by beauty pageant contestants for years, and, quote, I find it hard to believe that he rushed to some hotel to meet girls of loose morals, although ours are undoubtedly the best in the world. Look in my eyes, what do you see? Girls of loose morals from Minx. Girls of Loose Morals. That's a hell of an album title, huh? And I would love, this is something that I would be a huge fan of. A huge fan of. If whatever this weird bromance that is happening in between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin is, right? Whatever it is, I would love it if it broke down based on them disagreeing on who had the best whores. Oh, it would be so good. Wouldn't it just be wonderful? If it's like, oh, no, we deserve a better relationship. Maybe we should wind down NATO. Let's talk more about nuclear proliferation. Yo, what'd you say, dog? Yo, what'd you say about a horse? No. Nah, man. Chrome off a trailer hitch. The hookers in the good old US of A. USA. Our whores rule. USA. Your whores drool. And not in the way that you'd pay for. That would be the best. Would that be the best? +1, -1. I think it's a +1. Let's continue to move on. This is still a thing. This Russian dossier is still a thing. I'm very, very curious. By the way, BuzzFeed was right. Can we all say that now? BuzzFeed was right. Because if BuzzFeed did not release that dossier, then this would still be a major story. It would be a major story because of a lack of information, not because of more information. The fact that this information has come to light has made us more informed on the subject, and until there is corroborating evidence or an intelligence source comes out and puts their name and the reputation of their intelligence organization behind these claims, then we should not be talking about them. Because if they're not something that we find credible enough now, then why should we veil them in secrecy, therefore giving them more power? Now, I went on the morning stream, the show hosted by Scott Johnson and Brian Ibbett. I'm there on every Tuesday. We wound up talking about Trump, as we often do on Tuesdays. And I made the following statement, that for folks who are anti-Trump, if you are anti-Trump, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to write me anything. Just literally, if you're listening to this right now, either live, diamondclub.tv, twitch.tv/JustinRYoung, via podcast, via YouTube. If you are anti-Trump, just put your finger on your nose. You just put your finger on your nose, right? So you know who you are. I'm going to tell you something. I'm talking to you right now. That when it comes to information that you believe will damage the legitimacy and therefore hamstring the power of an incoming Trump administration, if that is your goal, then you need to treat this information like Bigfoot sightings. Now, let me fill this out for a second. Because I said that on the morning stream, and I got the following email. Let me respond with Chris's email. Chris wrote, I think it's a cheap rhetorical trick for you to compare the dossier to some grainy footage of Bigfoot. The dossier on its own might be not entirely compelling, although there is plenty there besides the golden shower incident. But taken along with all the other lines of evidence, it provides additional weight to the argument that there is a serious cause for concern. That's not my point. Allow me to illustrate my point, as I might not have done it on that show. Allow me to do it on the show that gives me the opportunity to expound without limitations on politics itself. When I say that you got to treat this stuff like Bigfoot sightings, I mean you have to wait until you know that it's real. Because the more you put out there that is not that, the more you weaken the stuff that is. Now, I understand that I look at a lot of this from a very specific kind of lens. I used to be a journalist in a former life. When I was a journalist, I ran bad information. It damaged the reputation of our newspaper. I then went on to be a person who worked in reality television in a news magazine format. I found stories, I interviewed people, I prepped them for television so they could be interviewed by the on-air personality. On there, somebody got by me that was lying. I damaged the reputation internally to our network on the seriousness of our show. So when I look at this stuff, there is a very, very, very specific way that I see it. And it is not a thermometer. Like if you look at a set of information and there it goes from 1 to 10. 1, absolutely not credible. 5 in the middle. 10, it is almost assuredly true. For people that don't have a reputation of a larger institution to maintain, when that gets to 6, when that gets to 7, you might say, you want to know what? It's more true than false. It's something that I want to repeat. This is something ingrained within me that if it's at a 9, you can't run it. It's not real until it's a 10. Now, you might internally believe that it's probably real. Doesn't matter. You ain't got the receipts. It ain't real till it's a 10. And if what you want to do is to hamstring the power of the incoming president, then it is up to you to vigorously self-edit rumors and innuendo in favor of facts, facts, facts. That's it. Because the more that gets out there that's a half-truth, the more that's going to be thrown right back in your face if you find something that might be a 9, but it's got a little bit of doubt to it. That's all I'm saying. So when I say you got to treat it like a Bigfoot sighting, I'm saying you can't go running up and down to all your friends showing them that skunk ape footage of homeboy doing the big arm walk through the Florida Everglades. You got to wait till you got a corpse. You got to wait till you got Harry and the Hendersons. Okay? You got to show that this thing is for real. Or else. I'm just saying, for the Trump folks, or for the anti-Trump folks, this is for you. I'm telling you this because you're not going to achieve your goals going the way you are right now. You're not going to achieve your goals looking at this Russian dossier and saying, well, here we go. Yeah, the guy might have a good reputation, the dude who wrote it. But it was furnished as opposition research, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's untrue. It just means that he was delivering a product to people who were buying it. The product was negative things that could be true about Donald Trump. Their job was to be thorough, not to be accurate. Find every possible rumor, whether or not it's true, because you need to run them down to see if they are. That's the job. One more thing here. Stacy B says, I'm confused. Are you saying that BuzzFeed needs to do their due diligence or we as readers need to do ours? Now, I look at this as from a very inside media perspective. This is my thing, and I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. I think that if BuzzFeed ran that document without CNN reporting what they reported, it would have been bad. You don't do that. You don't just throw that toaster in the bathtub to electrify stuff. But after CNN reports this like they got like they're publishing the Pentagon Papers, right? Then yeah. No, you do. You do. Here's something else that I found funny between now and then. Marco Rubio playing Russia Hawk on Rex Tillerson, and Paul Ryan, by and large, having a fairly good showing, at least in my Twitter feed, which is by and large stocked by mostly liberals. Very interesting. Very interesting to me. Because now all of a sudden it's like, hey, you want to know what? This Marco Rubio and Paul Ryan, they're not as bad as Trump. It's like, man, both of them are running for, to be sitting in the White House over the last 8 years. This is kind of one of those, this could be us, but you play in situations. So we will see. We will see. That's pretty much all I have to say about the inauguration. That's pretty much all I have to say about this Russian stuff. I think we're going to keep getting it. I think it's going to keep coming. But let's not talk about the man that is entering Washington, D.C. Instead, let's focus on the man who is leaving it. Barack Obama. There's a term, man, this show has been wrestling reference heavy. There is a term in wrestling wherein a wrestler wants to make sure that they get all of their popular moves into a match. The phrase is called getting your shit in. So you just want to make sure that every cool move that you can do, you get in. Every little gimmick you get in, right? Get your shit in. Barack Obama is getting his shit in right now. Barack Obama's doing everything. He knows he's got, I'll tell you what, I'm sure he's up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's packing in literally everything that he could ever do. He's giving Biden medals. He's having the Cubs in. So he can, just make sure that he knocks all of it out. Yesterday, the news came down that Barack Obama was going to commute the sentence of Chelsea Manning. Chelsea Manning, of course, is one of the key figures in the WikiLeaks investigation. She then, at the time of the incident, was of a different gender. For clarity's sake, just so everybody knows, leaked a bunch of information to Julian Assange and has since been in military confinement. The rest of Manning's sentence, which I believe was going to extend until 2045, has been commuted by the president, and she will be free in May. This is notable for a couple reasons. One, very, very traditional. The other, very recent. Let's start with the recent one. Julian Assange tweeted, or at least WikiLeaks did, as of a week ago, that if Manning went free, Assange would come to America and face the music. He has since, after this news broke, said, no. What I meant to say was you had to pardon her and release her immediately, not commute her sentence. So she's released in May. So what? I'm going to stay in London at the Ecuadorian embassy, if that's okay. I'm just going to make sure I sit here and let Pamela Anderson bring me Pret La Mange. I ain't leaving. Man, I'm glad she's going free, but suck it. S&D, OB. Because I'm going to be chilling out here in foggy old London town. Because whatever, man. Act like I'll be the first person on Twitter to talk some poop and then not back it up. LOL, Julian Assange out. Julian Assange is kind of a weasel. I mean, what are we going to say, right? Like, what are you going to do? I mean, like, listen, he's a weasel. So we can move on from that. He's a weasel. Opie will surely deliver. But let's get into the traditional element of this, because for those of you who have not followed politics, who maybe have been stoked into the political spectrum over this last year, what you might not know is that presidential pardons are something that are very often a little eye-opening and kind of a little bit weird, right? So here we go. This is a list I found on CNN. 11 notable presidential pardons. I do know that this is a commutation of a sentence and not necessarily a presidential pardon, but let's go ahead through some of the craziest ones. We have here Richard Nixon, of course, a very famous one. How about this one? Peter Yarrow. Peter Yarrow. This name may not be immediately familiar, writes this article, but you'd probably recognize Yarrow's voice if he sang Puff the Magic Dragon as one-third of the folk outfit Peter, Paul, and Mary. Yarrow dominated the music and protest scene of the 1960s. Yarrow had legions of young fans, but unfortunately some were too young. In 1970, he was convicted of taking improper liberties with a 14-year-old, an error for which he spent 3 months in jail. On his last day in office, though, and this is what happens, right? So keep an eye on Barack Obama. What happens in these situations is that you have things that a president would like to do, right? Things that a president would like to do, but they don't want to face the music on it. They don't want it to affect everything else they have going. So they wait until their final few days in office, if not literally their last day, to sign a bunch of pardons. Very often, and this is just one of them dirty-ass parts of politics, one of them dirty-ass parts, They are donors, people who have done favors, people who have given money to the politician. They're the ones, their friends are the ones who wind up getting the presidential pardons. So Carter says, man, I love Puff the Magic Dragon. I love Puff the Magic Dragon. I'm going to let this dude out. How about this one? George Steinbrenner. Many modern fans may know Steinbrenner only as the big mouth, big spending owner of the Yankees, but in 1974, the boss was also in legal trouble due to his shadowy connection with Richard Nixon's re-election campaign. After receiving 14 criminal indictments, Steinbrenner pled guilty to making illegal campaign contributions and obstructing justice. The plea resulted in Steinbrenner coughing up $15,000, and Major League Baseball suspended him for over a year. In the closing days of his second term, Ronald Reagan pardoned Steinbrenner for these offenses. So that's something that had already been served. It wasn't like anybody was out there in jail. How about this one? Patty Hearst, the heiress turned militant, spent almost 2 years in prison for her part in a 1974 bank robbery before Jimmy Carter commuted her sentence in 1979. Bill Clinton later gave Hearst a full pardon on his final day in office in 2001. How about every Confederate soldier? Every Confederate soldier on Christmas Day, 1868, President Andrew Johnson declared a general amnesty that unconditionally pardoned everybody who'd fought for the Confederacy during the Civil War. Oh, man. Old Hickory. Old Hickory just don't give an F. How about this? Samuel Mudd, Edmund Spangler, and Samuel Arnold. These three convicted conspirators in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln served time for their crime, but all three received pardons from Andrew Johnson in 1869. Oh, did I say Old Hickory? Yeah, no. That was Andrew Jackson. Sorry. Not Andrew Johnson. My bad. Andrew Johnson, though, just was all up in the history books. And how about this one? All right, here we go. Brigham Young. Young doggedly fought against U.S. troops during an armed conflict as federal forces tried to install non-Mormon officials in the state. According to some accounts, Young considered burning Salt Lake City to the ground and taking off for Mexico, but he eventually decided to peacefully step down as governor instead. President James Buchanan later pardoned Young in his role in the fracas. Oh, my God. Hey, by the way, this is breaking news coming in here from CNN. George H.W. Bush has procedure at hospital to clear his airway. Barbara Bush also hospitalized. Ew, jeez. Tell you what, they're finding every excuse to not go to this inauguration. It's like, sorry, man. No, we're old. How about we don't leave? No, we're going to go. We're going to go. We're going to go. No, I don't know. Pneumonia. Jeez. No. In all seriousness, I very much hope that old Poppy Bush feels better along with Barbara Bush. People don't remember, man. Barbara Bush was like mega popular. Barbara Bush was insanely popular. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Did we decide on a theme for this? I mean, the news just keeps on coming. For this this Korean story. So let's just do our best here. If you have an idea for a theme song that we should have for our Korean presidential scandal updates, then go ahead and send them in to theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Here we go. Here's our one for this week. Too soon? Too soon? Too soon? Oh my God. All right, so here we go. This is, for those of you who don't know, South Korea is in absolute chaos. All right, here we go. Let's recap it. The president, who is the daughter of a former dictator who also has connections to a cult, has been implicated for letting the cult leader stretch out her corrupting influence into the government. This has effectively sacked the presidency and led to a absolute manhunt to find out every element of the corruption. This last week, or was it the week before, extended to the cult leader's daughter, who is just a wild child who absolutely dropped dime on her mom. And we also found out that Samsung, as if we could not have already had a worse year, Samsung has also been implicated here. And that's our big story here this week. Jang Si-ho, the niece of President Park Geun-hye's embattled friend Choi Soon-sil, admitted to coercing donations from the Samsung Group in sharp contrast to Choi's denial during the trial over the corruption scandal involving the president. Extortion from the money of local businesses is a key charge that President Park faces in her ongoing impeachment trial. Jang and Choi are both jailed for alleged involvement in the scandal, as it appeared to shift the liability to each other for abusing power to extort donations from conglomerates for a winter sports center under their control. So now, there is also more arrests being sought. This is arrest sought for minister and ex-presidential chief of staff over artist blacklist. South Korean investigators on Wednesday sought warrants to formally arrest the country's culture minister and a former presidential chief of staff over allegations the Park Geun-hye administration blacklisted cultural figures deemed critical to the government. Minister Cho Yoon-sun and former presidential chief of staff Kim Kai-chun are being charged for abusing their authority, said the probe team looking into the influence peddling scandal that led the president's impeachment last month. Investigators suspect that the two were the mastermind behind the alleged creation and management of a blacklist intended to block artists critical of the government from receiving state support. The list is known to have nearly, wait for it, ladies and gentlemen, 10,000 people on it. One of which we cannot confirm or deny is 10,000 Maniacs, including author Han Kang, winner of the Man Booker International Prize in 2016, and director Park Chan-wook, who won the grand prize at the Cannes Film Festival in 2004. Both Choi and Kim have been flatly denying the allegations raised against them. I mean, talk about finding the receipts, though. When you've got the list, that's it, right? You have what you need. You want to know what? You want to know what happens to people that are critical of the South Korean government? You want to know what happens to the people that criticize the president? Huh? Han Kang? You just made the list! But that, I'll tell you what, does lead us to something else. It does lead us to something else. I mean, among all of this, I mean, listen, there's an impeachment trial going on. People are scattering around the world, right? Everyone's trying to find out exactly to which ends of the earth the tentacles of this corrupting influence goes. But once that president is out, somebody else has to take over, which of course leads Oh, they got soul. And they're super bad. This is a South Korean presidential replacement.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Dance, 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 dance. We're at 4.8% to replace the outgoing president. It is An Chol-soo. At 9.5%, it is Lee Jae-myung. Tell you what, at 20%, he might be from the UN, but he's trying to get in this cabinet of power. It is Ban Ki-moon. And leading with 31.4%, it is Moon Jae-in. And of course, the current president under impeachment, Park Geun-hye, at minus 1%. But you want to know what? Yo, stop the music. Yo, stop the music. Stop the music. Because it would be enough. It would be enough if we did a pole dance about the new South Korean president. It would be enough if we did that. But we're going to do something on this show that we've never done before. We're going to do something we've never done before. Because this is not an episode where we just have a pole dance. This is the first ever Politicsx double pole dance. We got Korea, got DC at the same damn time. Got Seoul, got DC at the same damn time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and tune up the band one more time. Because we got an incoming president by the time that we talk again. Which means we have approval ratings. So let's do a Donald Trump favorability.
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Pole dance. Pole dance. Pole dance. Pole dance. This one comes from CBS News. Conducted from January 13th to January 17th with 1,257 respondents answering the question, do you have a favorable or unfavorable rating of our incoming president? At 32%, we have favorable. Followed by 42% with unfavorable. That is a 10-point spread that will make him, in a modern recorded history, one of the most unpopular people to come into the White House. That should not be a shock. He was a very unpopular person running. So I don't think there's really much of a change there. If anything, it is a sign that, again, there ain't exactly been a whole lot of healing in this nation over the past few. Striker Rich says only 28% of those polled were Republicans, so it's not at all skewed. I mean, I'm not here to go. I mean, like, all right, so let's just look at, I mean, that's the CBS poll. That's the most recent one. And by the way, that is also one of the more favorable ones. So we can go through this skewed poll thing, but I don't think that it's necessarily controversial, right? I mean, he's not a popular person. Whether or not he'll be an effective person, I don't think really has much bearing on this. But, I mean, look at these numbers here. You know, it's a 10% negative rating for the CBS one, 14% for the ABC News one. These are all conducted within the last, 5 days or so. All the ones that are very, very recent have anywhere between a 9% and a 14%. These are all the ones that are conducted over the last few days. Those are CBS, ABC, CNN, ORC, NBC News, and Monmouth. So I mean, look, I'm not here to tell you that something's right or wrong. I'm just here to tell you what the what the numbers are. You know, Donald Trump, of course, not a fan of the numbers, unless the numbers are in his favor. Because I'll guarantee you this: I don't care how skewed the polls are. If all of a sudden in 3 months that's 57% for 57% for Donald Trump, he will be all up on his Twitter talking about how this is accurate, right? Infamous Nexus says the numbers that are in his favor are the only real numbers. I think that would probably be an accurate description for how Donald Trump looks at numbers. TheYoungAmerican@gmail.com is where you can write in about skewed polls or anything else. John writes, a thought occurred to me during your conversation about Zuckerberg running for president. One of the things people don't often mention regarding Trump's ascendance in the Republican primary is the economic advantage he had, and it's deeper than just self-funding his campaign. It's more like he self-subsidized his campaign with assets he already owned for unrelated purposes. Trump was able to do same-day rallies in different states before anybody else because he already owned a private jet. He was able to hold more press conferences than anybody else because he owned some of the most high-end press conference venues. He already had a campaign office fully installed because it was the set for The Apprentice. That I don't know about, but certainly the other two are true. I mean, even if you just look at Mar-a-Lago, right? Basically, Trump took advantage of an early lead in the polls by leveraging some of his unique built-in advantages. Now let's look at Zuck. When you consider the fact that a political campaign is little more than demography-driven data marketing, which, let's face it, it is, it's hard to imagine somebody more equipped to disrupt the political process than the CEO of Facebook, who has access to demographic data that would make the best campaign managers salivate. The irony is that it would raise ethical concerns for Zuckerberg to share this data with a candidate he supported. But if he decided to run for president himself, no one can really blame him for leveraging everything Facebook knows about all of us. That is very, very interesting point. David writes, crazy conspiracy theory. Many of the job announcements are coming with tags that these announcements have been planned for months. So if they have been for months, why wait until now? If the announcements of thousands of new jobs came out before the election, it may have moved the needle enough to love the fraction of a percent to Clinton. Now it makes Trump look good for no good reason. So the automakers and others get to make nice with Trump while they get millions of tax credits. Reasonable? Hell no. But with Trump, I've thrown reason out the window. I mean, listen, you can look at the construction about how these announcements come through, but at the same time, let's not be unfair that if the power of the presidency is put toward the business community saying, hey, look, we will be more business friendly, for which the Obama administration was kind of famously not. And the give back is you need to be very loud about every job you create in the United States. Then that is Donald Trump doing what he said, right? He said he was going to bring jobs back. This is how he intends to do it. So, yes, I think some of this stuff is a little funhouse mirrory, but it is the give back to the people that put him into office and, try to be as fair as possible with this stuff. Doug writes, my Twitter account is full of anti-Trump tweets and retweets from non-political people I follow from the tech and podcasting community. I don't mind some Trump bashing, but I am starting to find it annoying. If I follow you for your Game of Thrones insight, I don't want to hear your political rants. Obama was disliked, but the anti-Obama stuff I saw during his presidency was mainly constrained to political commentators and my weird uncle on Facebook. Do you think that there will be a backlash from the deplorables? I mean, I think, yeah, you see it all the time now. I mean, I think that, there are a lot of people that are huge Trump fans that jump on people that make political comments that are in fairly non-political spheres. Dare I mention some of the Gamergate elements, that certainly were more culturally focused than politically. But I think that part of it is the mixing of cultural stuff that many people feel very important about. Here's the reality. Most media that is created, even be they blogs, stuff like that can democratize information a lot of that stuff is created in the following three cities: New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. New York and Los Angeles probably first among equals. San Francisco, a distant second to them, tied for the top. They're liberal cities, right? Like that's safe to say. So that's what you're going to get. And that's what we got during Bush. It's what we're going to get during Trump. That's just that, man. Like, I don't really know what else to say about it, except that's just the way it is. Some things will never change. Nigel says, I hope you didn't miss this. It's a good laugh. I would call it pretty neutral. Heck, it's a New Yorker article, but it didn't offend me in the slightest, and I am a Trump train passenger. Mike might make a good read on the podcast. This is an article from January 9th in the New Yorker entitled, Is He Mr. Right or Is He Mr. Alt-Right? It's a little hacky, but we will do our best to read it right here, or at least a few of them. Basically, it's a bunch of gag jokes here. So Mr. Right brings you paper in bed on Sunday mornings. Mr. Alt-Right believes that your Sunday morning paper is brought to you by a cabal of scheming Jewish elites. How about this? Mr. Right makes you feel like the most special woman in the world. Mr. Alt-Right refers to you as a snowflake. Mr. Right impresses you with his ambition and drive. Mr. Alt-Right has a hard drive full of Pepe the Frog memes. I think this is my favorite one. Mr. Right is kind to your friends and makes a real effort to connect with your family. Mr. Alt-Right just retweeted your dad and called him a cuck. Oh, funny stuff. I like it. All right. And then, of course, we have Michael. Michael writes in, relatively new to the show, first time writing in. For your Russia versus China greatest threat debate, I think it all depends on your framing. If we talk about economics, it's almost surely China. I think the same thing goes if we talk about the long time scale. And also for the globalism and revelations discussion, it's definitely a thing. I tried to talk to my mom, who's been a registered nurse her entire life, and about the pros and cons about a medical microchip implant. Obvious privacy concerns, but the upside is that you could hold your medical records, allergies, medication you're taking, and it would make getting checked in so much easier and could almost certainly save lives. She brought up the mark of the beast and ended the discussion. Of course, if you would like to email us, just go ahead and hit up theyoungamerican@gmail.com. You can buy our card game, The Contender, at thecontender.us. Music has been provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. And you can follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere, including Snapchat. Download archived episodes of this show to bonerwars.com. Till next week, ladies and gentlemen. Some shows talk about politics. Some shows talk about politics. Some shows even talk about politics. But this is the only one that talks about all three. I will see you all next week.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.